About 10 years ago, on a shoestring budget, I completed and wrote my first book. And although I did not have a lot of money for proper editing, being at the time that it was AI wasn't as popular as it is now, I was just as proud of the fact, I was excited of the fact that I had just written my first manuscript. And I was so excited that I didn't even realize that throughout the book I found, misspelled words, punctuation, but I still had a few book signings. I had gone to a couple of expos, including one which I was invited to. Someone had read my book and invited me to come down and showcase my book at an expo in Atlanta. And I was able to give Shirley Strawberry and Steve Harvey in the morning team one of my books. And it wasn't short after that God says, I want you to write another book. And I'm sitting there scratching my head. And that was this one. That's my second book called The Weight of the Wait. You can't teach a butterfly how to fly. And I'm sitting there scratching my head, listening to the voice of God speak to me as if it was a soft spoken breeze. And it was at this particular time that God had actually led me to one of my most iconic passages of scripture that literally set the precedence in my life. And that was from Isaiah, I think it was Isaiah 30, verse number 21. It said, and thine ear shall hear a word behind thee saying, this is the way, walk ye in it, when you turn to the right hand and when you turn to the left. Transformed my life. And with this second book, he says, write the second book, and I will breathe on the first project. Again, that was my very first book. And let me tell you, without going into a whole bunch of details, that was 10 years ago. That God does not lie. We're working on a second edition project with this book, coming out with a devotional guide and an actual prayer journal. It's going to be extended, but God's breathing on it because he said he would. Now, I want to encourage those of you that it hasn't happened for you yet. That was 10 years ago. That's enough time to get discouraged. Trust me on that. But if it hasn't happened for you, it's not time for you yet. And as one that is dedicated in assisting people to identify, understanding, and coming to under a discovery of purpose, and those whom I've mentored individual in the area of the growth mindset, I often challenge clients and mentees and those that I disciple. It doesn't matter what gender or genre, that the simplest way to develop a growth mindset comes down to a 3-letter word, yet. I can't do this yet. I can't do that yet. I can't get this to work yet. Adding this 3-letter word to any limiting or negative thought changes your outlook and will open you up to future possibilities. If you notice yourself sharing a limited statement, add a yet to the end of that statement. And remind yourself that you are capable of learning and improving. And I want to end it with this. Be not weary in well doing, for in due season you shall reap if you faint not.